You know that moment when your whole world flips upside down, and it's not because of some big, dramatic explosion, but because of a kid's voice cutting through the evening air like a knife? Yeah, that's how it started for me. Standing on the porch of my fancy glass and cedar house by Lake Michigan, my hand hovering over the biometric lock, glowing all sci-fi blue in the dusk. Don't open that door. Those words hit me like a punch I didn't see coming, sharp, raw, and out of nowhere. I spun around, heart already racing, and there she was, this skinny girl, maybe 12, in a hoodie so thin it looked like it might dissolve in the wind, pointing at my front door like it was about to swallow me whole. Her name was Lila Carter, and she was shaking, her eyes wide with something between fear and certainty. "Someone messed with your house," she said, voice high and breathless, like she'd run a mile to get those words out. "I saw him last night, two guys, dark clothes, messing with that box by your gate." I heard clicking, like they were rigging something. I just stood there, my briefcase slipping off my shoulder, the sunset painting the lake gold behind her. My house me fortress, with its military-grade security, no keys, no codes, just my DNA was supposed to be untouchable. And here's this kid, Lila, with frayed sneakers and a story that made my stomach twist. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant. "Why should I believe you?" She didn't flinch, just looked at me with those big, steady eyes and said, "I'm nobody. But I don't want you to die." I called the cops, my fingers fumbling on the phone, and within 20 minutes, my yard was crawling with Chicago PD and a tech crew that looked like they'd stepped out of a cyberpunk flick. They cracked open the control panel by my gate, and one of the techs, a guy with a grim face and a tablet, turned to me and said, "Mr. Ellison, someone injected code into your system meant to fry the whole grid the second you open that door. Best case, your house burns. Worst case, he didn't finish, but he didn't need to." I felt the air get heavy, like the lake itself was pressing down on me. Lila stood off to the side, hugging herself, her shoes flapping against the gravel. I looked at her and asked, "Why'd you warn me?" "You don't know me." She shrugged, staring at her feet. "Saw you in a paper once, at some charity thing. You seemed decent. Thought maybe you didn't deserve this." The text kept working, and I kept staring at Lila, this kid who'd been sleeping in the bushes by my gate for who knows how long, holding onto a crumpled newspaper clipping like it was a lifeline. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about my house. This was personal. Someone didn't just want to scare me, they wanted to erase me. And I had a pretty good idea who. Years ago, I'd crossed a guy named Victor Hayes, a brilliant engineer at my company, Peak Pulse. He'd built the backbone of our AI platform, but when he demanded credit, I shut him down legal, clean, no loose ends. Or so I thought. He'd lost everything after that. Job, house, family. I'd signed the papers and moved on. But Victor? He hadn't. I didn't sleep that night. I let Lila crash in the guest room. She looked at the bed like it was a spaceship, and I sat in my office, staring at the server rack in the hallway, its green lights blinking like a heartbeat. The techs had found a USB port pried open, marked with red tape. Someone had gotten in without tripping a single alarm. That wasn't just skill, that was rage. My phone buzzed. My head of security, Nate, said, "Jack, this was surgical. Whoever did this knew your system inside out. We're talking weeks of planning, maybe months." I clenched my jaw. "Check Victor Hayes. Start there." Nate hesitated. "You sure? He's been off the grid for years." "I'm sure," I said and hung up. The next morning, Lila was up before me, sitting cross-legged on the kitchen counter, eating cereal out of a mixing bowl. She looked lighter, like a kid who'd finally exhaled. I slid her some orange mac and cheese, yeah, the neon kind, and she grinned. "You're not fancy, are you?" she teased. I laughed, but my mind was elsewhere. Nate called back with a lead, a signal from a relay device, traced to a warehouse in Gary, Indiana. "Take me there," I told Lila. She blinked. "Me? Why?" "Because you saw them first," I said. "And because I trust you." The warehouse was a rusted shell, all broken windows and pigeon crap, but inside, under a flickering lamp, was a setup straight out of a thriller, a laptop, a cracked monitor, cables snaking to a battery pack. I powered it on, and there it was, a folder labeled Ellison Lies. Photos of my house, my car, my office. Emails I'd written, dismissing Victor's work as minor contributions. And a video. Victor, gaunt, staring into the camera. "You took everything, Jack," he said, his voice low, like he was talking to a ghost. "I built Peak Pulse Soul, and you buried me. This isn't about revenge. It's about making you see." I felt sick, not because he was wrong, but because he was right. Lila, standing behind me, whispered, "He's not trying to kill you. He's trying to wake you up." Footsteps echoed across the warehouse. I grabbed Lila, pulled her behind a crate. Victor stepped into the light, limping, a duffel bag in hand. He froze when he saw the laptop on. I stepped out. "Victor." His eyes widened. "Jack, you actually came." His voice was raw, like he hadn't expected this moment. "I saw your video," I said. "I saw the truth." He laughed, bitter. "Truth? You don't know truth. You built an empire on my code and left me with nothing." Lila stepped forward, tiny but fierce. "You both stopped listening," she said. "He ignored you. You scared him. Nobody wins in a scream-off." Victor stared at her, then at me, and something in him cracked. "I just wanted you to feel it," he muttered. "What it's like to be invisible." I nodded. "I get it now. And I'm sorry. We didn't call the cops." Victor walked away, and I let him. Back home, I started digging not just into my systems, but into myself. I reached out to Sarah Klein, my old HR head, who'd quit when I ignored her warnings about company culture. She came back with a list of names people I'd sidelined, like Victor, like Lena Brooks, a QA lead who'd flagged a flaw in our AI years ago and got fired for it. Lena sent me a letter, no threats, just coordinates to a file detailing a bug that could crash markets if exploited. With Victor and Raphael, another old coder I'd wronged, we patched it in 4 sleepless days. Lila sat with us, reading error logs like they were bedtime stories, keeping us grounded. Then came the press conference. I stood in my living room, cameras rolling, and told the world everything: me failures, the bug, Victor's truth, Lila's courage. "A 12-year-old saved my life," I said, my voice catching. She didn't know me a thing, but she shouted anyway. "I'm done ignoring people like her." The room went quiet, not with judgment, but with something heavy: respect. Lila, swinging on the porch later, grinned. "You told them about me, huh?" "Had to," I said. "You're the hero." The fallout wasn't clean. Some called it a PR stunt. Others called for my head. But Lena joined us, and we launched Future Makers, a program for kids like Lila to learn coding, to have a voice. And when we found a confession from my old COO, Marcus, admitting he'd let the sabotage slide for a cut of the profits, we went public with that too. The stock didn't crash. People rallied. Lila spoke at a DC forum, telling a packed room, "You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to survive loud." They gave her a standing ovation. Now, I'm standing in a half-built shelter we call the Restart House, Lila's idea, a place for second chances. She's painting a wall orange. "It's hope," she says, smirking, and I'm holding a note she wrote years ago. "If nobody hears me, I'll shout louder." I used to think success was a corner office and $1 billion. Now I know it's a kid who believed in me when I didn't deserve it, a man who forgave me when I didn't ask, and a truth I almost buried. But the fight's not over. There's a ghost out there, someone Marcus hired, still watching, still waiting. Lila says we'll find him. I believe her. So what do you think? Can one voice, yours, a kid's, a forgotten coder, change everything? Drop a comment. Tell me, when's the last time you shouted for someone who couldn't? Or when someone shouted for you? Let's talk.